Okay, so now, and then coming to this diagram, I put the natural domain, maybe starting here, and coming down and encompassing the sentient domain, because all sentient life takes place within the natural domain. But then something occurred to me, that even though we seem to speak of ourselves as living, unfolding, developing within the natural, physical, and material order, but everything is really unfolding within the domain of experience. And so I also have the sentient domain repeated as the outermost layer, with these broken lines encompassing everything, because everything occurs within the field of experience. So when Nibbana is realized, it's realized within experience. And the natural order, other sentient beings exist within our experience. And even nature, from one angle we could say that living beings gradually evolve within the natural order, but insofar as we know nature and interact with it at all, this occurs within the field of experience. So the experience of sentient beings is the all-encompassing, all-embracing envelope for the other dimensions or other domains. You know, maybe some are asking, quite an interesting metaphysic this guy is developing, but how does this relate to our work at Buddhist Global Relief? First, one sort of footnote I'll add, even though it seems like I'm explaining this as a metaphysic, I'm not doing this to develop a kind of objective philosophical system, but my whole purpose in devising this scheme is to work out a particular, well, systematization of elements of experience in order to serve as a kind of guideline for practice, for our participation in the spiritual life. And so this leads into the second, or at least one of the other questions that this organizer of that conference had asked us to consider, and that is, how do you see human spirituality, or the sense of the sacred, evolving in today's world? And this takes me a bit back to this distinction of the traditional modern and postmodern modes of understanding. In the traditional mode of understanding, the sacred, the holy, the transcendent is regarded as being essentially what is beyond the world, outside the world. And that is the sacred, that which is transcendent. And what is within the world is the mundane, the worldly. And our goal in spiritual striving is to move from the sentient domain in which we're living to the transcendent domain, and to leave behind the sentient domain. It's the realm of just birth and death, the realm of sin, the world, the flesh, and the devil. Or at least it's that particular realm where the world, the flesh, and the devil thrive. And so these domains are devalued, and ultimate value is placed on the transcendent domain. Of course, the quest for the transcendent will imply certain ethical values that are to be embodied within the sentient domain. But the sentient domain doesn't have, and the natural domain don't have ultimate value within themselves. And so that the culmination of spiritual practice, spiritual realization, would have to bring about an integration in our participation in these three realms. And this becomes particularly compelling and urgent. What becomes particularly compelling and urgent for us today is to give deeper regard, ultimate regard, to the sentient domain and the natural domain, but not treating them in isolation, separation from the transcendent domain. This is where I have my own understanding differs, I think, significantly from mainstream socially engaged Buddhism, which, the way I see it, almost dismisses the transcendent domain or reinterprets it in such a way that it becomes just something which is imposed or worked out through human understanding in the sentient domain. But I take this transcendent domain to be something real, in a sense, but it's a reality which is not only to be aspired to and realized, but which is also to be brought down, in a sense, and embodied, actualized in the midst of the sentient domain, and whatever principles can be derived from it also have to be actualized in the natural domain. And so this, coming to more concrete and practical implications, this means that using this model as a mode of guideline to understanding, that we regard other sentient beings as being, especially as human beings, we regard other human beings as being worthy of ultimate respect, ultimate consideration, ultimate concern. Generally, I feel very hesitant to use the word compassion because I think it's a word that's become so overused that it's almost like with drinking water, one doesn't taste any flavor anymore. Though, just as the water is essential for life, so compassion is essential for spirituality. But maybe I like the Pali word, not karuna, but anukampa, which is also translated compassion, but it means literally, kampa is to shake, and anu is with. So it's empathic, empathetic, shaking, the quality that makes the mind or heart of the good person shake with the suffering of others.